Hi, welcome back to CS 170. We're here to continue on with our chapter 4 discussion. Before I do that, I want to just clarify a couple of things. One, I think we had some discussions that people sent me emails about lossless compression and lossy compression. I think there was some confusion. So one area that I'll try to clarify is this idea of the run length encoding. And uh, basically, the idea is that within all of the data, whether you're talking about for pictures, talking about video, sounds, or whatever, there are quite often certain sets of sequences that are repetitive. Um, some of them for quite a while, so you can do something to shorten that and just say, how many times you're going to see that repetitive um, uh, representation or digits. Um, so that's the general idea when you look at run length encoding. And as you can see here, it's a lossless data compression. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's not a lossy compression, which I think there was some confusion on that. And if you think about it, um, if it's just telling you that you have a duplicate of these characters for you to recreate the original representation, uh, it's fairly easy and also doesn't really have any loss of the accuracy of either the picture, the sound, or the video. Um, so you can look at that in many different dimensions, but the idea of like something that is duplicate and then having some representation to keep track of the count of those duplicates is a common, easy way to look at compression, and it's a lossless data compression. So it works without you sacrificing anything in terms of accuracy. So just to straighten that out for people. Now, the other thing I wanted to clarify a little bit, I realized from the last lecture, I was kind of talking about the title section here. And I know I was really emphasizing that when you put the title here, it doesn't really appear in what we talk about the body, like this part here, like this content here. So I was emphasizing that you talk about the body and it kind of shows up on your page here. The title doesn't. But let me just clarify that a little bit. I was focusing on the title as something that was referenced by the search engines. So something that when the search engine finds it, it'll use that to reference the page you're on. But the other thing you'll notice, and I'm going to come to a page in a second to show this, it kind of blends in with some of the rest of the discussion here. It actually, if you notice in the picture down here, it says Rutgers University. You can see Rutgers University down here. Okay, so it actually shows up there, and if you were actually to bookmark this page, it would also show it there also. So it's a misnomer for me to say that the title doesn't appear anywhere. It does appear, uh, like I emphasized in the first lecture, in the search engine results, but also it does appear here on the tab. Um, and then distinguish that from what you're typing in the body, which actually appears in the web page down here. Okay. Let me go over to here for a second, and then let me just quickly show you something. So I kind of realized that I went ahead and set up the page. I went into the HTML without actually telling you how to set up a page. So basically, I can go into my local file system, which here I'm just saying my CS170 fall folder. I have like stuff that I'm building up here as the content for the class. You see this? I created index.html. Now be careful with this. If you set this up, you may set it up like a text editor or something like that, and it might stick an extension on there. So you want to be careful with that. So what I did, as you can see here, I show the extensions here, so you don't get caught out on that. Otherwise, accidentally, you might have something like index.html.txt, and then it'll kind of screw things up a little bit. So that's why you see I set up so I can see all the extensions here, which normally I don't. Let me see if I can show that to you. See here, file name extensions. So in your browser, you can kind of set it so you can see it. A lot of times you don't. So let's say I unclick this, then you can see what happened here. You don't see it. Just by this, you can kind of see it's a PowerPoint, right? But so it's supposed to kind of make things a little bit easier for you to see. The reason I set it like this, like I said, it's if you're not careful, sometimes you open up a new file, like a document or a text file, it automatically sticks a .txt on there for you. So you can see here so you don't mess yourself up. Now what I did was I just went in here, and you guys can do this on your own too. Let me just open this up with Notepad for a second. And you can see what I did was I just took like the sample skeleton here. So the doc.html, the HTML, the head, the body, and say something. I put in like my title, right? And you remember this part. This is just like a default thing. I consider this to really be part of the skeleton. So you can just copy and paste that in there. So my title, let me just put ABC, right? And that's the title that I was just talking about. And then this is the heading. All right, so this is good. You can do heading. And remember, you can do heading 1 through 6. So, heading 1 would be the big one. And then you could say, like, this is a paragraph, hello world. Okay? And so let me just leave this up here. I'm going to do a save on this. I'm going to leave this up. Let me come over to here and see what I did here. I put in the full path, and I'm going to go into path in a second. I put in the full path. So on my computer, where this file is located at is on the C drive, users, Chris, desktop, CS170 fall, index HTML. And then you put that in there so the browser knows where to look for your index HTML file. And then you get this. Okay? So you remember I changed the title. I said my title ABC. You look up here, you see my title ABC. So that's just to reiterate the point I just tried to clarify before about title, where it does appear. So the title goes from here up to here. Okay, and you see this is heading, right? And this is where it was set at H1, right? You can set anywhere from H1 to H6, as I mentioned before. And then you say this is a paragraph, hello world. Okay, so this is a very basic page, but just I just wanted to give this to you because I realized I didn't really show that to you because I just went straight into this HTML editor here and started typing stuff in here. Okay, so I'm taking a step back and show you if you had to set this up from scratch on your local file system, this is what you would do. Create this index.html file, copy over the skeleton, which I've covered a couple of times in lecture. Set that up, and then you can stick in whatever you want. Stick in your title, stick in your text here, and then play around with the different things. So this is where we want you to be. Even though a lot of times during the exams or whatever, we'll kind of mostly be talking about this and kind of ignoring this, it is good to know how to set up your web page. Okay, so this is just a reference on doing that. Okay, so let me continue. We're back here. This is where we left off before. So two concepts which you'll want to know what it means for your upcoming studies is the idea of absolute and relative reference. So absolute reference is basically the full path of what you're trying to access. So if you remember here, when I was showing you how to access my file, you can see I started from the beginning. I showed the C drive and the full path to get to my index HTML file. So where this is going to come into play for all of you is when you're actually putting some references within your web page. So usually within your web page, your reference is going to start from, see where this index HTML is. That's where you are going to be in the file system. So and they draw an analogy to it, the file structure to be like a tree or something. But you just have to know when you're when you have your index HTML file and then you start to want to reference other pages, you could reference it with your starting point from here. Okay, and we'll go into this in a little bit. So absolute reference, as it's saying here, it's the entire URL. All right, so this is where to find the page, right? So whatever you type in, it'll specify the whole thing. So this is showing you the whole URL, like so. Okay, and then you have a reference, like a path to the file. Okay, so again, this really comes into play when you actually go into your HTML file, your index.html file, for example, and be able to set up your references. So we'll see examples of that a little bit later. Now, relative reference, let's say you're referring to something on your site. So back here, you see like this reference here. I could be referencing whatever, right? It could be within my own site or server, or it could be somewhere else, right? That's why you show the whole path there. So it's an absolute reference. You go into relative reference, it could be like this index HTML file is referring to stuff within your own file system, within let's say your own server, your own website. So it says here often links to other web pages on the same site. Okay, so it could be like, for example, let me go back to my file system here. So for example, here's my index HTML file. You see all these other files here, right? So I could just be referring to this. This is fine. Or you can see like this folder Sprint 170. Then you would be like doing .. // and then Sprint 170. And this would be a relative reference to where you are, which in this case is index HTML. You're here. You forward reference to Sprint 170 and going down, and we'll show an example of that in a second. Okay, so yeah, the pages are going to be in nearby folders, right? So you're going to go up the tree, down the tree, into different folders to access the file. Okay. So I kind of showed a little bit in my own file system, but here it kind of shows a little bit more clear. So again, notice index HTML here. Okay, index HTML. So from here, let's say your web page, you're starting off from here, and you want to look up some photos. Right? A lot of times you're referencing a photo or something. So then you would, you know, / forward photos, and then within that / you would pick one of these pictures. Or HTML. These are more pages, but if you had pictures in here, you would put in the name of the picture also. Okay. Where in this case we're showing the full path. So in my case, I showed the full path starting from the C drive all the way through, and that's how I loaded up my page. That's the absolute, right? This is the absolute path here, the full path, really. Okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint. So they draw the analogy to like a tree. So you're going down this, right? For people that's on a PC, you know, this whole thing with the C drive and, you know, all these different folders going down should look kind of familiar. It's just a different representation of this thing here, right? You see the C drive and you see all the folders going down. I don't know if this is any clearer, but this is essentially the same thing as that, okay? So this is what's referred to as a tree structure, and it shows all these branches going down into the different folders. You can see all the files within these folders, and that's how you would reference it. Okay, so let me see here. All right, so let me talk about it. This is going down. All right, so from index HTML, which is over here. Let's see, gift HTML is like in the same folder. So that's all here. That's why you can see a gift HTML. So that stays here. But you want to use the fun HTML. You can see what it did, right? You can see LOL cat with just a folder, and then / fun HTML, right? So it's supposing that you start from here, go forward into this LOL cat file, and gets the fun HTML. Okay, in this case, it's talking about tabby HTML, which is down here. So you go from here down to here, down to here, right? 2 levels down on your folders to pick up tabby HTML. Okay, so LL cat, friend, and then HTML. Right, you started from here. Remember, goes down to here, goes down to here, and you pick this up. Okay, and so this is like example code that you're going to see within your HTML page, right? So you use this to access these others, right? In this case, it just happens to be HTML, but it could just as easily be like this, right? You can see pic 2004 JPG, JPEG, right? So you'll see this as we start going to more example code. Now this one is going up, okay? So in this case, it's saying from tabby HTML, which are over here, and then if you want to go up to the fun HTML, you're going up the tree, right? So you're going up, and you can see dot dot slash then fun HTML. So this dot dot slash means you go up 1 level on the tree. So I started off from here with this tabby HTML. I'm in the friend folder. I want to go up to this folder. That means I'm going up the tree once, and that's what this dot dot forward slash means. Now once you're in this folder, you want to see fun HTML, great. So then you just pick that. Okay. Now let's see. This one is gift HTML, which is up here. So you're gonna go up from friend to LOL cat to my cat. Okay, so that's 2, right? Dot dot forward slash, dot dot forward slash, and then a gift HTML. Okay, so I hope people can see that. Now you see old cat HTML, which is all the way over here. Okay, so now this is an example where you go up and down, right? So you're going up, 1, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, dot dot forward slash. But now you want to go back down, so that's why you put MA cat and then tabby HTML. Okay, so hopefully, actually that's a mistake. That's a mistake, I think. So this tabby HTML is wrong. I think we had a typo here. It should be this old cat HTML. Okay, so old cat HTML goes over to here. Maybe I should just fix this right now while I'm here. Okay, old cat. Oops. Forward slash old cat HTML. Okay, it's a bad reference there. So now that's all fixed. I save that. I'll upload that later for you guys. Okay, now so now that we understand like how to traverse this file system to reference either HTML pages or pictures or whatnot, we'll start to look at how you make links, right? So you've probably seen this a lot. You go to different web pages or whatever where you'll have this, and then you'll be able to click on this part right here where it says Russell, right? So this is just describing how you would put that into your HTML page. So if you're putting this, your index.html, this is what it would look like. So you see this, right? Bertrand, you see this, Bertrand. So nothing special about that, that stays there, right? You have a space, and then you have your less than sign and greater than sign. And within that, that's where you put in this href. And then in this case, we're putting in the full path here, right? So you got this whole path to this Russell HTML page. Okay, so as it says here, this is your attribute and your full path here. And then you put here what it's calling that Russell as the anchor. This is what you see up here. Okay, and then just like with any tag, you're closing it off. Okay, so notice this, right? Open caret A, I shouldn't say caret, less than sign, A, and greater than sign. So it's this whole thing here. And remember, we were talking about the different HTML tags, and within that, how you can have attribute. So that's why this part is called the attribute, right? So href, set the attribute to this, and then this is normally when you see any sort of text or whatever that's in between these tags, right? And then this /a is your closing tag. Okay, so this is really the full thing that you're gonna probably see a lot of, and this is how you tie your page, whatever text you have, to these links, right? So you can have these links to other places to load up other HTML pages or load up pictures, videos, whatever. And we'll see more of that as we go. Okay. Okay, and so this is just the same type of thing. Um, you know, you have the href, whatever page you want to go to, some text, and then you close off the tag here. Okay, and that's what these are different aspects of what we just covered here. Okay, so the first lecture I gave covered all of these parts here in terms of headings, white space, and whatnot. We did mention these couple of things here, like these validation services, and then making the links with the anchors, absolute, relative paths, kind of going deeper and higher with the hierarchy. And then we'll pick up some more of this stuff with CSS and whatnot in the next lecture.